Okay guys, so today we are continuing to talk about this bike trip, but today we're talking about the trip to Wild World that happens at the end that we had talked about on Thursday. So Liz and Theo want to visit Wild World with their friends. Theo checks if the park offers special prices for groups bigger than 3 people, and he finds this information on the park's website. So this is important. We have $21 per person normally. Okay, if you just show up by yourself, it's $21. Now, the special group price says it's $50 plus $10 per member, a group member. So that means that if you had 2 people go, you'd be paying $50 plus $20. Okay, if you had 3 people go, you'd be paying $50 plus the $30, $10 for each person. Okay, so we're trying to see if it's kind of worth it to do the group price or not. So we're going to complete the table. So go ahead and do that and pause the video while you do. All right, go ahead and check your table. I'll zoom in so you can see it better. Just take a second to look. Check and make sure that you agree with this answer, and then we'll zoom back out. Okay, so your job here is to describe the pattern of change that shows up in the table. Okay, so what are you seeing? Then write an equation relating the admission price P to the group size N. I also want you guys here to identify independent and dependent. Okay, so which one is independent, which one's dependent? Okay, and then describe how you can use the table or the equation to find the cost for 18 people. Okay, so make sure that's what you're doing. I want 18 people. Cost for 18 people, okay? And then describe how you can use the table or the equation to find the number of people in the group if the total charge is $350 or $390. Both of them, please, okay? And then you're going to go on to part B, but that is going to be after we check in about this. So pause the video, finish the page, and then come back for answers. All right, go ahead and take a second to check your work here. I put down the answers, but I do want to check in about one more thing. Okay. So that one more thing is part B, because it kind of looks a little different than the rest of it. So I'm going to zoom out a little bit and give myself a little bit more space to talk about this, because I'm guessing a lot of you struggled with part B. So the first thing is, remember, we had this equation that said P equals N times 10 plus 50. Well, I can't exactly solve that even if I have P, which is what the money would be. I could say 350 equals N times 10 plus 50, but honestly, this really doesn't help me. So I'm going to need to look at a family fact for this. So that's what I need to start with. Now, this 50 is kind of in the way. I don't know if you guys noticed that. That 50 kind of doesn't help us much. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove it. And by remove it, I mean I'm going to subtract it, because it's kind of in the way and we know about it. We know that it's part of the whole cost, but I'm going to subtract it from both sides, kind of like taking the same amount off of a balance. Okay, and if I subtract that, I am left with 300 equals N times 10. Okay, so for this, really, I'm looking for what times 10 equals 300. But I could also look at this using our fact families like we've been doing this year. Now, one of the facts here is just 300 equals 10 times n, but that doesn't really help us either. So maybe I need to look at some division problems. Okay, so I could say n equals 300 divided by 10, or I could say n equal, or sorry, 10 equals 300 divided by n. Well, I don't have what I need there, so I'm guessing that's probably not my best bet. This doesn't really help me at all. Okay? And this doesn't really help me at all. But this one allows me to do the division, which tells you that N is 30 people. Okay? Or for this other one, 390, I would say 390 equals N times 10 plus 50. And I'm still going to have to subtract that 50 because it's kind of in the way. So minus 50, minus 50. Again, we're taking the same amount off both sides of this so that it's not changing anything other than what the balance is balanced to be. Okay, so that would give us 340 equals N times 10. Okay, again, we can use a fact family equation. So we would say that this is 340 divided by 10 equals N, which gives us 34 people. Not 34 pop, people. All right. Go ahead and flip your paper over. We're now looking at this one. Okay, admission at Wild World includes a bonus card with 100 points that can be spent on rides. Rides cost 6 points. Let's highlight the important information here. 100 points. Rides cost 6 points. Okay, so complete the table to show the customer's bonus card balance after various numbers of cards. So that means, whoops, after every one of these, this would be minus 6. Okay, so 100 minus 6 is 94. Oops. 94. Okay, 94 minus another 6 is going to be 88, and so on. So go ahead and fill that out. Explain how you can calculate the number of points left after any number of rides. Use transition words to write your explanation, okay? And then write an equation showing the relationship between the points left on the bonus card, P, and the number of rides, R, okay? Again, I want independent and dependent outlined, okay? How does the cost per ride appear in the equation? How does the number of bonus points at the start appear in the equation? And then, if you have time, graph it, but I don't think you will. So do what you can with the time you have and come back for answers. All right, so looking at your answers here, you should have an equation that looks like this. You could have put P at the beginning, but then it would just be P equals 100 minus 6R. Remember, it has to be 6R. That coefficient is very important because the coefficient 6 is the cost per ride, and you're multiplying that times the variable R, number of rides. The independent variable is how many rides you can take, so that's R. Okay, and then the dependent variable is the points at the end, so that's P, okay? The number of bonus points at the start is 100, which is the constant, okay? That's the number that doesn't have a variable attached to it and shows the bonus points. If you did a graph, which if you had the time, that's great, it should have looked like something similar to this. And I'm not going to go crazy and make it super fancy, but this is rides. And this is points. Okay, and then you would label it, you would title it bonus card points. Okay, and then if this is 100, it goes down at a constant rate. All right, missed you guys, hope you're doing well.